Okay, good afternoon folks. Try to adjust the image here a little bit. Taking a video of a benchmark with my tablet. Trying to zoom in and out just good. So, can have a little bit of video recording of how everything went down. I know I'm using my tablet, but that's making sure that I don't have anything else running on my computer at the moment. So, we have 512 bytes to 64 megabytes for I/O size. File size is 256, just like what Cicero, or that Cicero guy, that's exactly what he had, was 256. Kind of comparing what a Samsung 860 EVO, should type that in there too. Need the keyboard. Kind of goofed on that. Okay, so 860 EVO. There we go. Let's see. Space 860 EVO with rapid mode on. Wonder if I can take description out of there. There we go. Alright. So 500 gigabyte SSD 860 EVO with rapid mode turned on. This is disk C. Memory is just having the PC on. As you can see over here, there's nothing else on at the moment, and I can show you that by processes, benchmark, task manager. That's it. We can turn off some background processes. See, there's Samsung rapid mode. Smart defrag, we can end that. Don't need that running. Sure don't need uninstaller running. That's just crap we don't need running. Anything down here I don't touch because that's Windows stuff. Rapid mode service, yeah, sure. Don't need OneDrive sync engine. Everything looks relatively decent. Don't need Google Crash Handler running. I'm not using Google at the moment, so alrighty. So CPU, nil. We've been up for 5 hours 16 minutes. Speed is 3.2 gigahertz, gigawatts. And that's all my other information there. Kernels are turned on. There's memory, available RAM, so 13 available, all the other numbers and everything. So disk C is the SSD, Samsung SSD 860 EVO, 500 gigabyte. As we can see, nothing's being read or written, and we are going to see how the test goes. These are exact same stats that Cicero used. So here we go. Benchmark in progress. Try to turn it over there a little bit better. As we can see, we're doing some stuff over here on the task manager. It's doing stuff. Reads, there's writes into the megabytes. Now Cicero's, he knows his hard drive stuff. His read and writes, once they got down towards the middle, they were in the 5 gigabyte range. That's awesome, dude. Awesome, buddy. Oh, there's 1.2 gigabyte. Cool. I just did a simple benchmark from Samsung Magician, and that just gave me two stats, a read and a writes. and they were about 4,200 megabytes per second average between the two, with rapid mode turned on, but not a detailed one like this, which is much nicer. I have maybe 40 some gigabytes free on the hard drive at the moment. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but after 500 gigabytes, or 500 gigabytes afterwards ends up being, I think it was about 460, and I have like maybe 410, 420, 430 on there. So yeah, after a while it adds up, but still. And side note, my tablet is sitting on the wooden keyboard holder that I built, and I'm just kind of holding it up with my left hand at the moment, so I can keep the right hand on the mouse and left hand focused on holding the tablet. Okay, we got a 4.96 gigabyte here for the read, 4.89 gigabyte. Seeing some good steps here. That's nice. 10 gigabyte per second on the top, and this is 2 gigabytes. I've not seen this chart, this table here on the task manager go that high yet. That is awesome. So as this is starting to step down to the bigger files, I can already see Cicero's hard drive can go faster than mine, which is great, which is awesome. His was like a gigabyte higher than what this is. This is reading 4.96 on these two right here, and his was like 5.6, 5.9, somewhere around that, almost 6 gigs. That is tremendous. It's awesome. I love the SSDs. I'll never get a hard disk drive ever again unless I need like 10 terabytes of storage or something for mad files, but I love the speed. I love the quickness of it. Okay, it's saying to start again, so I assume we're finished. That looks awesome. Again, this is calming down and chilling down. And we have, let me just cover this up a little bit, temperature stuff here, RAM that's being used, CPU, gotta have the malware fighter and stuff, so metrics, temperatures, CPU, GPU, main board, fan speed. Kinda should have had that visible at the time, but heat-wise, SSDs really, as far as I know, don't get warm at all. So looks like if we hover, we don't see any numbers on there, which is okay. This is my first time using it, ever. Free download, just give them your email address and put a name in there. And download the file, unzip it, click on the application, say yes to everything, know where it's going, what file, what folder, and what file. Open up the application, and here you go. You got the free benchmark tester. Now you can test up to 32 gigabytes. But I want to do the same as Cicero of 256 megabytes. That looks awesome. Let me snap a photo here, not from my tablet, from my PC, so the photo is a lot crisper. Save, and saved to the SSD, and I think that's about it. Well, we can do another one. We can do 32 gigabyte and see how that runs or works. Initializing test file. I'm not sure if this stuff will erase or not. I kind of hope it would, since it's doing something different. I can bring this over. Let's see. Can't really make that any smaller. What I've got here is this thing. See if I can zoom out a little bit here. There we go. I was looking at my tablet to see where this is all lined up at. I can drop that down a little bit. Drop that down a touch. Move this over. Right about there. And we can see everything. Cool. Okay, so there's disk. Of course, there's a benchmark thingy. And the megabytes per second that it's using and everything. Initializing test file. I'm not sure when this starts, if I recall. Okay, this says 100% right here. 500 megabytes, 200 megabytes. Guess there really wasn't a clear section where you could clear this out. Ah, benchmark in progress. Okay, here we go. I'm learning. Patience. Okay, temperatures, CPU, GPU, which is HD 4600. It's not really a separated GPU. So we see what the disk is doing, we see what the temperatures are, we see what the fan speed is, we see what the benchmarker testy thing is doing, and we went to the highest. I can't click onto that stuff, which makes sense. So far, so good. My left hand was starting to get a little shaky. Not worse than a shaky video, huh? So I'll just leave the mouse pointer there for the moment. Okay, on the task manager on the left, the transfer rate speed small window says 1 gigabyte per second and 300 megabytes per second. Over on the Atto Disk Benchmark, there on the right, we're at 32 kilobytes. The reads and writes are being done. The writing is being done right now. We'll just see how it goes. About a third of the way through. I assume bigger files, so longer time. Makes sense. It's my assumption. Reading at the moment. I like that it takes the SSD to 100%. That's real nice. We're at 14 and a third minutes right now. Not shabby. Kind of interesting on the, let me switch hands here, read and write stuff. The numbers are pretty low for the reads. Huh? Interesting. Yeah, the reads are down in megabytes. The writes are up into gigabytes. Maybe the file size of 32 gigabytes is not grand, but for small numbers, I mean, it's 512 kilobytes. That's half a meg. It's not very much, but at least the write speeds are good, which usually takes slower. So it's looking alright. As we can see down here, the transfer rate of gigabytes per second, down here at the bottom of the chart. And I guess if it gets over 2 gigabytes per second, it'll be up in here. Now, I know Cicero knows what he's doing. I don't. I just observe. He's been in the IT stuff, make it PG as best I can. He's been in the IT stuff a lot longer than I've been even using computers. So he knows. That's probably why he chose the file size of the 256 megabyte versus 32 gigabyte. But as with all things, you move a lot of memory, move a lot of data, it's going to take a lot of time. I'm happy and glad that you passed this information on to me there, Cicero. That is awesome. Okay, there was a write speed right here that's at 3.2 gigabyte. I saw it. I don't see it. It's a GB. Sorry about the shaky cam if it happens, but just repositioning my arm. Now it's doing the read speed over here. And I would assume the test that we did first, which is just the same one that Cicero did, is probably much faster because I think it was done a while ago compared to this test. But maybe the bigger file size gives it a more in-depth data transfer speeds and everything. Don't know, not sure, but we're learning. 18 minutes into the video, and yeah, still learning. Temps are still looking nice, 120 degrees, 118 degrees for CPU and GPU, and main board is 111. Band speed 1774. So I believe we're on the 12 megabyte, no, we're on the 16 megabyte now. Okay. The red is the write, and the gray is the read. Using my mouse and show you. Here's the write, and here's the read. So we're on the read portion of the moment. That would be gray, so that's going to pop in here real soon. Watching the read speeds over here. Yep, definitely bigger file size, definitely takes longer. I know I'm being redundant about it, but I apologize. Just observing and noticing. Okay, the read speeds for 16 megabytes are in. In theory, for bigger file size, it looks like it takes a lot longer, from what I'm seeing. But my old hard drive was at about 95 read and write megabytes per second average. 95 max. This is a 2013 i7 CPU. One socket, 4 cores, 8 logical processors. Doesn't really tell me the age of it, but 725 threads. Blah blah blah. So back to the disk part. I like doing tests. We got fan speed of 1800. The speed, or 100% usage, sorry, not speed. CPU's 3, RAM's here. Simple stuff doing on the RAM, so it's not bad. Back to the temperatures. Okay, now we're doing reading on the 24 megabyte. I would assume it would get up to 32 gigabyte, but I'd have to relook at a picture. Maybe all of these combined would equal 32 gigabyte, hence file size, because you're transferring a little bit each time. It looks like we're 3/4 to 7/8 of the way finished. Definitely a lot slower, but I guess more thorough. That's just my guess. And I did notice, for those wondering, you can cancel this at any time. Assuming that, it's taking too long or things aren't responding for you or whatnot. So we're doing the read part. We're in the 3 to 400 range of megabytes per second. Should be popping up pretty soon. Funny that the Ethernet is reading something even though nothing's connected to the internet. Nothing that I know of is using it, but something was checking it. Now we're doing another write speed. Just over 23 minutes for this one. So obviously, if you've made it this long in the video, I greatly appreciate it. Wondering how big the bigger files, can do for us. If I recall right, short-term memory and all that, I think the 256 megabyte file size obviously went a lot faster. And that's a 1/4 gig, and we went from a 1/4 gig to 32 gigs, so yeah, like 100 times greater, 100 plus times bigger file size. In theory, it should take 100 times longer. Oh my. And this other disk here, that's my old hard drive. Toshiba, blah 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 blah. That was a slow drive. I just really have that there for a backup. That's a 750 gigabyte drive. And I did, before I cloned from the HD to the SSD, I did do an image backup, medium compression to a USB 1 terabyte hard drive. Just as backup precautions. Things fudge up. I can't get my operating system and everything else and all the settings and all that, everything back. I at least have the image saved so I can restore everything back to where it was beforehand. Thankfully, cloning from the HDD to the SSD went smoothly, piece of cake. Clicked a bunch of buttons, waited an hour and like 15 minutes, and presto changeo, I had an SSD that worked. Went into the settings on, see if I can kind of pull that up there. There you go. Went into the settings and changed the boot drive. They had 3 options. I ended up having to do one at a time until the SSD actually became, the C drive, which is fine. I change it all day long until I can get what I need to. And every single thing, literally every single thing, transferred on the clone. Passwords, tabs in your browser, bookmarks, bookmarks that were saved on a browser that I'm not signed into were still there. Totally awesome. Macrium Reflect software program is what I used for the cloning from the HDD to the SSD. Even though my laptop has a bay to hold a second disk drive, obviously, because we see 2 of them here. Disk 0 and disk 1. Somehow it's 0 anyway. And I couldn't get D. I'm guessing D is the DVD drive. So I could not put the SSD into bay number 2. Yeah, bay number 2, bay number 1, disk 0, disk 1, confusing. Couldn't put the SSD in bay number 2 and transfer clone from bay 1, which is the HDD, to bay 2, which is the SSD. Failed twice, wouldn't do it, wouldn't tell me why. Lots of reports had mentioned you can't clone from one drive to another while it's in the computer. The clone has to be done through a USB cord. I had that from a previous SSD combo that I bought. 850 EVO SSD with USB connector cord. Hooked that up, worked the first time, haven't had to muck with it since. So if you want to clone an HDD or any drive to a new drive, really sounds like even if the hard drives will all fit in your laptop, it really looks like you've got to have that extra drive outside the laptop via USB cord. I mean, 2 out of 2 tries I tried to do it inside and it failed. I did it once outside, worked perfectly. Don't need to do it a 4th time to tell me that it worked correctly. Okay, we're on the read section of the 48 megabyte. So my assumption is a 32 gigabyte is collaboration or a total of all these. And I see it's going up 6 megabytes each time. 16 maybe. 24 to 32. That's should be 8. Because 10 would be 34. And then this is 16, 32 to 48. So it's exponentially going up. Interesting. I mean, it goes here 1, 2, 4, 8, 12. Binary would have been 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, so on, So, interesting. If I recall correctly, binary, it doubles the number each time. And on a side note, it's the only way I can remember my dad's death was 4, 8, 16. and that's binary. He did a lot of computer stuff. Kinda weird, but awesome all in one. Many years ago he mentioned learn how to type on a keyboard. A lot of things in the future are going to be keyboard orientated in order to use a machine. He was not wrong. And I could literally say that was probably 30, 35 years ago. Or a good 30 just to be sure. I'm 42, so I was probably 12 when he said that. Yeah, he was right. Because I was thinking of being a truck driver, and he's like, well, if you're going to be driving truck, you got to log in somewhere. You know, log in your load. It's going to be done on a computer, so it's going to have a keyboard. So better learn how to use one, because you're going to be using one here and there, and you don't want to look like someone that doesn't know how to use a computer. The more you know, the more you get paid. And he wasn't wrong about that either. Generally, the more you know, you get paid. Yeah, that's just an obvious given. Some fields, the more you know, the more you will get paid. Others, the more you know, quicker you'll be out of a job because they can't afford to pay you that much. Hence again, the more you know, the more you get paid. I think it's more, the more you know and you can utilize for that company, then the more you'll get paid. Because you're worth more. That's right. Disk drive capacities, 466 gigabyte, formatted 421. So there was 45 gigabytes that I could not utilize or stretch out. It was reserved for stuff that I can't use. It's unallocated. And I think I've got about 370 or 380 gigabyte on the hard drive. Sorry, SSD. So that's about, 38, 40 some gigabyte that I could actually use. So that's why I wasn't afraid to do a 32 gigabyte file size, because I knew I had that room on there. So, or the last one, which is 64 megabytes. Kind of thinking, you add up all these megabytes, I don't really think it'd be 32 gigabyte, but it could be. I mean, could roughly say 64 and 48, that's 112 megabytes. Add those four up, that's probably about a good 100. 30, 24, and 16. It's 40. So 40 and 30, that's 70 ish. 80-ish. 90. So from 8 megabyte to 64 megabyte, we're barely at 200 megabytes. And I sure as hell know that all these aren't going to equal 800 megabytes, So interesting on the 32 gigabyte file size. But who knows, maybe this will go longer, in depth. Can't remember if this can, no, can't stretch that out. It's going to widen the window up, but looks like I can't even maximize the window. At least not while it's running. And as you can see by the green bar, it's almost done. Wow, 34 minutes in, holy crap. And it's done. Oh my, okay. So the highest was, I can't double click and highlight it. Oh, you can see by here, 1.23 gigawatts, gigabytes. So, obviously 32 gigabyte, that's pretty big. We did 256 megabyte before, and it was over like nothing flat. And we got some pretty good high numbers. So, folks, if you stayed this long in the video, which I hope you did. We're at 35 minutes. It matters which one you choose. So if someone wants to boast, I'm not saying Cicero's doing this at all, don't get me wrong. Someone could be like, oh, I did a 64 gigabyte, I did a benchmark on my SSD and I got like 10 gigabytes a second. Yeah, you did a file size of 64 kilobytes. Of course it's going to be fast, dude. I mean, come on, really? You barely did like a couple seconds of a song. Of course it's going to go fast. As you can see here, I just theoretically did 32 gigabyte file size and it took like a half hour. And you can see the results. Pretty low. But for 256 megabyte, it went pretty damn fast. Again, PG, I mean parental guidance. But I'm going to take a picture of that. Just as some proof. Photos are a lot easier for people to see than videos. Not many people are going to sit through a half-hour freaking video just to watch two tests, but it's there if you want, and you go from there. I'll sit through 10 hours of video if I need to get the right information that I need to see. I might do it a couple hours at a time, but I'll finish it up at some point. If people can sit through 20 or 30 episodes of a TV show at 40 minutes an episode, you can watch a 36-minute video on testing, and hopefully my voice didn't put you to sleep. So anyway, we'll just put this back at 256. I'm just kind of curious how long that took, because it literally was like a half hour ago. And it's already doing some testing. Okay, so that's good. Super quick. Might as well put this back over here, huh? Since we're doing a quick test. Okay, I was just checking to see if my mouse was actually able to be seen on the tablet video capture portion. That one jumped up 4 kilobytes. And of course, this auto adjusts. Looks like it auto adjusts as it, gets bigger. I know we hit over 4 gig at the one point, so there it goes. It's adjusting. So we got 4 gigabyte number max here. Cicero, his went over 5, so his probably went from like 2, 4 to 6. I'll have to look at the picture again just to see. And that was on the browser. Not going to pull it up right now, it's doing a test. So we're at 3.69 the read, 3.75 on the write. Oh, there it goes. Went up to 6 for the table. 4.26 gigabyte, 4.56 gigabyte, 4.2 on the right. That's nice. 4.76 gigabyte on the read, 4.34 on the read on the write, 4.86 gigabyte on the read. It's almost hitting 5. Wow. That was a 1 megabyte file. Not very big, it's like a minute of a song. I can see it's starting to step down a little bit as the files get bigger. And as we saw from the really, really big files, with these numbers of the megabyte size, it really stepped down quite a bit, but still. 4 megabyte file size, we're at 3.2 to 4 gigabyte per second. Not shabby at all. Being that my hard drive was topped out at like 90 something for both read and write. Yeah, I should test the disk one. I should test that next. That'd be funny. We'll do that right after this. see how it goes, because obviously the 256 megabyte file size does not take very long. We're only here at a couple minutes at the moment. I think it was 38 minutes. We're at 40:10 right now. So like a 2-minute test compared to like a 30-minute test. Yeah, big difference. I'm not trying to say what shape this is, but we all know what that kind of looks like. No innuendos, but see what I see. Let me take a photo of this test too, so I can compare two different 256 megabyte tests. Right there, 256 megabyte. And now we'll go over to, the DVD drive is disk D. Okay, sounds good. Same 256 megabyte, and we're going to go over to the hard drive and start. Initializing test file, clear the table. It's already up to 6. It ain't getting that high. There you go, 100 megabytes. That's better. Now, no idea how long this is going to take, but when I did this type of test through Samsung Magician, it didn't take too long, which was okay. It took maybe just as long as the SSD. Temp speeds and everything are looking pretty normal. CPU usage is, that's why I love all these different processors, logical processors. This is so nice. As we can see, speeds here, nothing over 100 yet. We got a 95.77, 96. If it gets over 100, that'd be great, you know. Had my mom's Lenovo computer that's only like maybe 2 years old. That was hitting like 107, 105. I tested hers just to see. We got a 9934 there. There's some pi. Actually, pi would be 314, but you know what I mean. Excuse me. Had a Windows update the other day, and within under a minute, maybe 30-40 seconds, it was done on the SSD. On my mom's Lenovo, which is an i5 with 8 gigabytes of RAM and HDD 1 terabyte drive. She says, it takes like an hour or two to get that updating crap done with it. And I mentioned to her today during our trip out to the eye doc, I had a Windows update and it took like 30 or 40 seconds and it was done. And she's like, wow, that's fast. I'm like, yeah, you get one for your computer, it can be just as fast too. I know how to do it. We don't have to pay someone $100 an hour or whatever. I can transfer your hard drive over to a new one, install the new one, and off you go. Quickest my PC has booted up was 18 seconds, and that included certain page file defragmentations and some other defragmentation stuff that cannot be done with Windows operating system. So it makes a big difference. We still haven't hit over 100, but we got a 99.81 here, screeching at 100. Would be cool to see it hit over 100, but you know, still. As you can see, folks, this is where I was capped at in the 90s with like 1960s technology. Not really, but still. Compared to 2018's tech, this computer was done in 2013, so it's a 5-year-old technology. But it's got a 2-year-old computer with a 2-year-old hard drive, and it's only getting like 7 more megabytes per second. Not much more. And as we can see, that's with the disk running at 100% as well. So, big difference. I didn't change the title. Bummer. Okay. Let me change that. $750. Get my keyboard a little closer here. 750 gigabyte HDD factory installed. Whoops. GB was lowercase. We're not doing gigabits, we're doing gigabytes. Factory installed. Okay, that looks good. Because I want to take a picture of that as well. I love Lightshot. Such an awesome ass program. Yes, I said ass. As in donkey ass. Come on, donkey. Get this stuff together. So, as you can see, didn't even break 100. Got a 98 and 99. Still can't wipe, making the whole thing bigger. So this is the size that you get. No bigger. Interesting. Very awesome. Thank you much, Cicero. If you didn't fall asleep in the 46 minutes. I will post this to YouTube, obviously. I guess I don't really need to say it since that's where you'll be watching it. But I keep my task manager and the disk just so I can see what's going on and what it can do. Would be kind of cool if we could see a history. I guess you could save it. Okay. Again, first time using this, so export image, so that's cool. Save as, save, open, new. Interesting. I guess you can save different reports and everything, so that's pretty cool. Alrighty. Save changes to untitled, no. And close that out. We're not going to close this, but we're going to move it over to my laptop screen. And this is what my 22-inch LCD, not LED monitor looks like. And yes, that's floor. So I have it suspended by some toe straps. If you stay this long, you get a sneak peek of some stuffs. So let's see if I can move this without turning it off. So it's held up with some toe straps. And over there's my laptop. Temperature just under 70. Anyway, that's my laptop. And that's how everything is. Alrighty, folks. Until next time. Bye-bye, and thank you for watching. As they all say, like and subscribe if you like what you see and you want to see more. Click that notification so you can get notified when my next video comes. Bye-bye.